Greetings, greetings, family. We are live. Sister Shanice in the house, alongside, as you can see, our elder, Ade Sawyerr, and also brother leader, Bandaka. We are absolutely delighted and privileged to be bringing you, family, day one of a series of events that's going to be remembering and celebrating the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. So we start today, Saturday the 23rd, and we continue for several days. In fact, let me share screen so that you can see the lineup that we've got for you. So spread the word, family. Let people know that we are actually now live on YouTube. Let's share the screen so that you can see what we've got coming up. Wow, wow, wow. It's going to be quite an exciting day and several days, actually, family. And so looking forward to the series of events and programs that we've got lined up. So as I said, we're going to be remembering, let me just make sure I'm not sure what you're seeing on your screen. So let me just stick to what it looks like on my screen. We said here, we started off with what was going to be 5 remembrance events honoring Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, but we've got a 6th event that's been added, family, and that 6th event is going to be on Thursday, the 28th of April, from 7 through to 8 p.m. And that 6th event on the Thursday is going to be a spiritual one. It's one where we are going to be calling on the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah. We are going to be rising up the spirit of our elder. And our desire is that his spirit will be imparted into everyone who is part of the traditional African ceremonies that we are going to be doing live on air on Thursday. So we've got some wonderful events lined up. Family, we have some phenomenal speakers who are going to be coming to you. Speakers, some of whom walked with the great man himself, reasoned with him, were there when he was formulating strategy, heard firsthand what his vision was, were beneficiaries of some of his initiatives. So these series of events, family, a history in its making. We are, recounting history, tapping back into history. We are Sankofering. We are going back because we want to bring back the essence of Kwame Nkrumah, his vision and what he stood for. Because if we continue to call his name and celebrate the great man, he will indeed live on forever. And so, as he said in this quote here, it is clear that we must find an African solution to our problems, and that this can only be found in African unity. Divided we are weak, but united Africa could become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. And that is the vision, and that is the mission that we all have to be on, working towards accomplishing, family. Wow, wow, wow. So just take a look at the lineup of some of the guests. We actually have in the house our brother Onukpa Ade Sawyerr ready and waiting to deliver behind the stage. We also have leader Bandaka, who is going to be delivering an opening ceremony, family. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., same time. Spread the word. We've got Dr. Amabini and Professor De Valera Bochwe coming to you live and direct. Again, the focus is on Kwame Nkrumah, his vision, what he stood for. Family, this man was phenomenal. When you hear and learn of what he accomplished during his times, if only a few of us were able to accomplish half as much as this great man did, we would be leapfrogging ahead as a people and as a community. And that is our objective. More great speakers lined up. On Monday, we have our brother Jojo Hughes, Dr. Jojo Hughes. We have Dr. Wendy Aku. They will be alongside the Al-Kabalan Revivalist movement. We will be going live via Galaxy Afiwi as well as via YouTube. And we will also have then on Tuesday, Dr. Michael Kimara. And then we also have coming up, family, on the Wednesday, a panel debate. 4 great scholars who will be discussing the great man, his vision, and the theme is his meaning to Africans both at home and abroad. Notice the time change with that one. It's from 6 to 8 as opposed from 7. Okay. And of course, if you want to join my mailing list, family, there's the email address. Get on board, link me up, join the mailing list. And you can also support the works on Patreon. So as you come through the door, family, please do let the rest of the family know that we are live. Let's go over and greet our guests very briefly, and then we are going to do the libation. First of all, let me greet and welcome so you can hear the voice of our brother, Elder Ade Sawyerr. Greetings, my elder. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Greetings and blessings to you on this period in time when we look at our great leader, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and the fact that he lives on.
Yes, indeed. So looking forward to your presentation. Family, we were having a conversation behind the scenes. This great man here who we have actually walked alongside our brother, Kwame Nkrumah. So we are indeed honored. We are indeed privileged. We also have in the house our brother, Leader Bandaka. Welcome, Leader Bandaka. Greetings.
Tenai greetings, my beloved sister, Baba Achiaba Dayesebo, in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, our Kebaland, Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people upon the face of Mother Earth. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. And we raise up the name and the spirit of the Osagyefo, the mighty spirit of the Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah. We give thanks and praises for his life and legacy. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. And in the background, family, I'm going to be sending out the link because, you know, with the Zoom that I'm using, I'm unable to send out the link, the direct link in advance. People have to find us via my YouTube channel. So, you know, there are members of the community who are already joining us. As you come in, family, please give us a like and also just comment in the chat. Let us know that you are there. Let us know where you are watching us from, where in the world you are watching us from. We really like to know, you know, the geographical reach that we have here as a community. In the background, we have, and I'd like to greet and welcome our brother, Onukpa Ade Sawyerr. He has been working so hard behind the scenes. I know he doesn't want to come, you know, up front, but he's there in the background, and I just want to honor him and respect him for the great works that he has done in doing the organizing of this event behind the scenes. I'm just a vessel and a platform that's being used for this, and I am deeply honored to be able to offer that support and that service. Okay, so without further ado, it's really important that we open the ceremony in the traditional African way via libation. And so let me spotlight our brother, Leader Bandaka, as we go over to him to do the opening libation for this important series of events that is coming up. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Before I proceed, may I just ask Baba Achiaba for permission to proceed as an elder? May I have your permission to proceed, Baba Achiaba?
Please proceed.
Tatenda, medasi papa.
Medasi.
Mendasi.
I want to invite the African family gathered strong this afternoon to render your full focus and to assume a posture of reverence as we do so. For one of the things that has been stolen from us as a people is the right and the power to define that which is sacred to us. Let us reclaim, as we come before our sacred shrine, our divinity, the divine spirit of the African, as we observe this ritual of libation. We come as one people, one in mind, one in spirit, one in body, one in vision, one in purpose. For although we are many, many is not enough until we are one. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Mwari makurukuru. Mwari makurukuru. Mwari makurukuru. Kudzai muzimu mukuru. Kudzai muzimu mukuru. Kudzai muzimu mukuru. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Regai mazwi andi notaura nepungwa zebumu mangu. Zinzikwe nemi Mwari. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Jah of our creation. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Mwari kumbure rai Africa. Ngai simuzire titarayo. Nzwai mitero yedu. Isumuriayo itumuriako. Uyamweya komborere. Uyamweya muzwene. Isumuriayo itumuriako. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Mwari Jah, God bless Africa. Lift up the name of Africa on high. Hear our humble prayers, O Mwari, O Jah. We, the family of Africa, we, this family of Africa, come, Great Spirit, come and bless us. Come, Great Spirit, come and be with us. We, the family of Africa, we, this family of Africa. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari. Hey, 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 hey. Mwari tipeo masimba, eko kurejo kaipa. Mwari tipeo masimba, eko kurejo kaipa. Mwari tipeo masimba, eko kurejo kaipa. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari. Moya yakashata, ngaibe matire. Moya yakashata, ngaibe matire. Moya yakashata, ngaibe matire. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari. By the power of our ritual, by the power of the word, by the sound of the drum, we command that all that is of evil, leave us, leave us. Evil spirit, leave us. We command this in the name and by the power of all things great and good, knowing that the power of good is greater than the power of evil. Oh yes, the power of good is greater than the power of evil. But Mwari Jah, God is not celebrated until the voice of the righteous is heard. Let the voice of the righteous be heard. Let the voice of the righteous be heard. Let the voice of the righteous be heard. Yeah. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Unto Mukuru, the great ancestors, we come. Unto Mukuru, the great ancestors, we come. Unto Mukuru, the great ancestors, we come. We call upon Mukuru, the great ancestors. In the tongue of Mukuru, the great ancestors. Oh, we call upon Mukuru, the great ancestors. In the tongue of Mukuru, the great ancestors. Mukuru, ye, Akebolan. Uyai, uyai, uyai. Mukuru, ye, Akebolan. Uyai, uyai, uyai. Mukuru, ye, Akebolan. Uyai, uyai, uyai. Uyai mama, uyai baba, uyai mama, uyai baba, uyai tipeo masimba, uyai tipeo kushinga, uyai tipeo rezivo, uyai tipeo chicumbrero, uyai, 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 uyai. Great ancestors of Mama Africa, come, come, come. Great ancestors of Mama Africa, come, come, come. Great ancestors of Mama Africa, come, come, come. We call you from the east, call you from the west, call you from the north, call you from the south, from around the circumferences of the globe, from the height of Mount Kilimanjaro and all the mountains of Mama Africa, to the depths of the River Nile and all the waters of Mama Africa. Yeah, we call you. Yeah, we call you. Come, come, come. Come, come, come. We call you. From the shores of Mama Africa, Asia, North and South America, the islands of the Pacific, the Caribbean, from the Red Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, the Sahara Desert. Yeah, we call upon our ancestors, those of ancient time. We call upon the pioneers of culture and civilization, those who gave knowledge to the world, those who gave mathematics to the world, science and technology, metallurgy, architecture, language and communication, theology, philosophy. Yeah, we call you. We call upon the prophets of healing from ancient time to the present, from Imhotep to Baba Sali, Baba Lailo Africa, and beyond. We evoke their supreme knowledge of the healing arts so we can be imbibed with the wisdom and the knowledge, so we can learn again how to heal ourselves in mind, body, and spirit. We call upon the warriors of our history, those who lived their lives and gave their lives so we could have a better life. There we forget them. We call upon the Zulu warriors, Osa warriors, Ndebele warriors, Herero warriors, Shona warriors, Akan warriors, Ga warriors, Ewe warriors, Yoruba warriors, Igbo warriors, Ijaw warriors. We call upon the warriors of Sharpeville, Soweto. We call upon Rastafari warriors, warriors of Haiti, Palmares, Uyai. We call upon the mothers of our history. We call upon the queen mother goddesses of our history, those who gave life to generations, those who gave birth to empires, nations, and civilization. Call upon the great. We evoke the spirit of the ancient African woman. Summon that spirit to imbibe the minds and souls of every African queen and princess in this moment, in this time. Let us call upon some African queens by name. We call upon Hatshepsut, Uyai, Queen T, Uyai Amos Nepatare, Uyai Queen Kaina, Uyai Queen Makeda, Queen Nefertiti, Queen Nzinga. We call upon Queen Ya Santewa, Mbuya Nehanda, Queen Nani of the Coromante. We call upon Nandi. We call upon Amy Jakes Garvey, Amy Ashwood Garvey, Henrietta Vinton Davis, Afurika Banto, Uyai, 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 Queen Mother Moore, Uyai, 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 Mama Samad, Uyai. Let us call upon the great fathers. Let's call upon, before we go to the fathers, let's call upon Claudia Jones, Queen Nkechi Ode, Hilde, Hilde. Let's call upon the King Baba, gods of our history, the fathers of our history. We summon the spirit of African manhood, provider, protector, builder of nations. We call upon the spirit of the African man to imbibe the heart and mind and soul of the sons and daughters, the sons and fathers of Africa in this time, so we can once again manifest our true purpose of being. Uyai, hear them. Let's call upon by name the great fathers, great men of Africa, the warrior kings. We call upon the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We call upon Papa Omowale Malcolm X, Uyai, Patrice Lumumba. We call upon the Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah, Uyai. We call upon Shaka Zulu. We call upon Tenka Menin, King Prempe. We call upon Walter Rodney. We call upon Maurice Bishop. We call upon Zumbe, Desaline, Mukman, Makandal, Christophe, Uyai, 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 Khalid Mohammed, Uyai, 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 Bussa, Uyai, Uyai, Uyai. We call upon Martin Luther King Jr., Sekou Touré, Amilcar Cabral, Uyai, Uyai, Thomas Sankara, Uyai, Uyai, Uyai. Call upon all the great fathers of our history who stood firm alongside the great mothers. Tony Martin, the great scholar of the works and the legacy of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Uyai! Hear them! Call upon Baba Gamba Kokai. Uyai! Hear them! As we move forward, beloved brothers and sisters, let us just take a moment to reflect on the ancestors of our own personal lineage. We summon their spirits so we can bind ourselves together at the root of our existence. Let us, all of us, call the name of at least one personal direct ancestor of our direct lineage. I call upon my grandmother, Mami. Uyai! Call upon Uyai! And I'll say Uyai for those who are calling, because Uyai means in the Shona language of Zimbabwe, come forth. Come means come. We summon the spirit to come. So I say Uyai, Uyai, Uyai. Hear them!
And I'm worried.
To seal our libation, we commune with Muzuma Mukuru our great ancestors. By sipping from the bowl, we join with our ancestors. Father Heaven, Mother Earth, Muzimu Mukuru, great ancestors. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Rumbid Zokuna Mwari Africa. To the God of Africa be the glory. As we round off our libation, we call upon the creator of the universe, the God of Africa, through the spirits of Muzimu Mukuru to bless this occasion, to bless all those who are behind the organization and the vision behind the series of events that we are launching in this precious moment. Baba Achiaba Ade Sawyerr, we give thanks and praises for your presence. And we pray the ancestors will guide you and bless your tongue as you minister to us this evening, that the power of your spirit will bind with those of the ancestors and will be instructed by the great ancestors so that the word will be true and strong. To Sister Shanice, may you continue to do the tremendous work that you have been doing for our people. May you grow from strength to strength. May your wisdom expand and be guided also by the spirits of the ancestors, by the power of Ma'at and Jehuti, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and truth, justice, and righteousness. Rumbid Zokuna Mwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari, Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Wow. What a powerful, powerful libation. Thank you so, so much, Leader Bandaka, and to all of the Al-Kabbalah Revivalist movement who enabled you to be here today so that you could give this wonderful libation to the opening of the next 6 days of empowering lectures, presentations, and discussions right here on this platform. I'm honored. Our elder Sebu isn't one of the speakers. He does the works behind the scenes, but you know, he'll be behind the scenes with us, maybe not in person, but you never know, he may surprise us. But today, family, without further ado, I would like to bring on stage our first presenter who is going to open the next, we're having 6 days of celebration of Kwame Nkrumah, and our brother Onukpa Ade Sawyerr, he's going to be opening the days. So we welcome him as he comes. He's going to be speaking on Encompassing Humanity of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, as demonstrated by the forgiving of Ghana as a secular unitary state, his drive for African unity, non-alignment, a world without the bomb, and world peace. And our brother who is coming to speak to us today, he is an equality, diversity, and inclusion-focused management consultant. And wow, I found out behind the scenes that our paths has crossed in the past as well, when I was doing my works in the community with young people. So he's been in this business for many decades, working with disadvantaged communities in Britain. And he is a principal at Equinox Consulting that he co-founded back in 1983, has worked with and for many African and Caribbean heritage and Asian organizations and businesses. And he has a passion for promoting the culture and traditions of Ghana, and he's also an ardent Nkrumahist. His blog can be accessed via www.adesawyer.com. Without further ado, let me hand over today's proceedings for a presentation from our dear brother. To everyone in the audience, we welcome you. We welcome you. Please do continue to put your comments. Let us know where in the world you're watching us from, and we will be bringing you in after the presentation from our dear brother who's going to be opening tonight's event, Onukpa Ade Sawyerr. We greet you as you come, Elder.
Thank you very much, Sister Shanice. And thank you, Mr. Adaisibo, for inviting me to make this presentation on the humanity of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Thank you, Brother Mbandaka, for the powerful prayer, inviting all our ancestors, those who've gone before us, to join us in this moment when we once again celebrate the memory of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Nkrumah still leads. He still lives. Nkrumah never dies, really. So I like to start this retrospective about Kwame Nkrumah with a quotation on African unity. And here I quote Nkrumah: "We all want a united Africa, united not only in our concept of what unity connotes, but united in our common desire to move forward together in dealing with all the problems that can best be solved only on a continental basis," unquote, Kwame Nkrumah. I intend to talk about Nkrumah and his contribution to world peace, African unity, and a united Ghana against the backdrop of current events, war, imperialist aggression, all sorts of things happening in this world at the moment. Few people view or know Nkrumah as a man of peace. They perceive him more at home in supporting the freedom fighter movements in Africa. But there was a time when Nkrumah's stature in the world was that of a peacemaker. Nkrumah left Ghana on the 21st of February, 1966. He had not gone abroad for medical reasons or to a conference or to sign an agreement or a loan for Ghana, or on a holiday, or with a cup in hand, or indeed just to collect some per diem. Nkrumah was on a highly publicized mission to Hanoi to find a peaceful resolution to the Vietnam War. He'd been invited by the Viet Cong leader, Ho Chi Minh, and he had the assurance of the American government that they would do nothing to compromise his safety during that trip. Oh, how we wish for Nkrumah now in these days when there's trouble in the East. But sadly, the fact that he was overthrown before he could complete his mission leaves most of us wondering whether the Americans who were complicit in his removal approved the trip. The jury is still out as to whether this was a mere ruse to get him out of the way, or they felt that he had overreached himself as a world statesman. However, the fact that the trip had been sanctioned by the Commonwealth of States Conference suggests that Nkrumah was well regarded as someone who could provide us with a roadmap for peace during those troubled days. After the end of the Second World War, there was still a need for peace. As the arms race escalated between the Warsaw Pact countries of the East and the NATO alliance of the West, this Cold War continued till the dismantling of the Soviet Union in the mid-1990s. This was a war for ideological influence and control of the world. This was not a hot military war. But there were several flashpoints, such as the Bay of Pigs incident, the Russian invasion of Czechoslovakia, the Russian foray into Afghanistan, to think that after the Russians left Afghanistan, NATO and its forces would go in there. But these were events that threatened peace in the world. So what happened to us developing countries who were caught up in this ideological divide of the superpowers, who were being asked to take sides between the capitalism of the West and the socialism and communism of the East? We needed to steer a middle course. And this was captured in a bold statement by Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We face neither East nor West. We face forward. This typified the stance of the non-aligned movement that unified 75% of members of the United Nations and more than half the world's population behind this movement for peace. The non-aligned movement still survives, but it has become largely irrelevant as the superpowers have taken over. The world owes a debt of gratitude to the boldness and bravery of the Initiative of Five. Tito of Yugoslavia, Nehru of India, Nasser of Egypt, Sukarno of Indonesia, and of course, Nkrumah of Ghana. These five who gave birth to what is probably history's biggest peace movement, the non-aligned movement. Without this declaration on promotion of world peace and cooperation, embracing five principles of mutual respect for each other, territorial integrity and sovereignty, mutual non-aggression, mutual non-interference in domestic affairs, equality and mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence, the world would have been a more polarized one. Their commitment to the cause of peace must be applauded. And the active involvement of Nkrumah in this must be acknowledged as someone who stood for peace in the world. But it is Nkrumah's role in forging African unity that is better known. And I continue to be fascinated about how he negotiated through the many disparate influences and alliances on his long journey to become the one statesman of Africa who we all revere. Nkrumah acknowledged his teacher at Achimota School, J.E.K. Aggrey of Africa, as the first to arouse his nationalism. Other notable people ITA Wallace Johnson, and Nnamdi Azikiwe, who he worked with on the Morning Post, and who were both deported out of Ghana after being convicted of sedition because of one article. That article has the African a God, was also something that influenced him. He followed on to Zeke's alma mater, Lincoln College in America, stayed in America, campaigned, and then to Britain, which was all about learning the business of organizing in the student and workers' movements, which culminated in his helping to organize the 5th Pan-Africanist Congress in Manchester with George Padmore. He, along the way, had to imbibe the different philosophies of the movement that would inspire him and guide him on this task of African unity. Today, we are still looking for that solution to African unity. But Nkrumah had to study things that had been done by Booker T. Washington, who was promoting technical education to enable Negroes to learn a trade. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who was using his Negro Worker newspaper to preach the politics of capital formation, and the Back to Africa movement of the United African Improvement Association. There were others, such as W.E.B. Du Bois, writing The Highbrow Crisis, the mouthpiece of the NAACP, on promotion of liberal arts education, socialism, and communist theories for the emancipation of people in Africa. Other leaders of this Pan-Africanist movement also influenced him. These include Sierra James, Ras McConem, and it was at this defining conference in Manchester that there were many from the Caribbean and the African diaspora. W.B. Du Bois, who organized the first conference, was in attendance, as was the wife of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. There was Hastings Banda from Malawi, Jomo Kenyatta from Kenya, Peter Abrahams from South Africa, Jaja Nwachukwu and Awolowo from Nigeria, the Reverend Harry Sawyer and ITA Wallace Johnson from Sierra Leone. There were several from Ghana, E.J. Duplan, DeGraff Johnson, Joe Appiah, J.S. Annan, my own uncle W.J. Kwesimold, Hoi Labi, Bankole Awuno Rena, Gershon Ashinikwe, and all these people played an important part in the formation of the Convention People's Party in Ghana, the party that led the country to independence. Most of these were burning with a desire to free their countries from oppression and the yoke of colonial rule. And the conference considered for the first time independence for the colonies as a legitimate extension of the Pan-Africanist cause. The baton was passed to Nkrumah to champion the cause of African unity. He saw a certain urgency in that. His focus with Pan-Africanist unity was actually the main cause of his break from the United Go-Go's Convention, who had invited him to Ghana to help transform their movement into a national political party. Nkrumah saw that the CPP needed to move faster. And so he came up with this slogan of self-government now. as the vehicle for achieving African unity, which was why on the most important day of our lives in Ghana, the day of our independence, he made one of his most important declarations of intent, that the independence of Ghana was meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of Africa. He caused to be held several conferences, which were successor conferences to Manchester. There was some in Accra in December 1958, Tunis in January 1960, and Cairo in March 61. The delegates came from all over Africa, the Caribbean, the diaspora, and all people of African descent. The delegates included legitimate governments, revolutionary governments, governments in waiting of non-independent African countries, radical governments that were pushing and supporting the armed struggle for liberation, and essentially anyone who was anyone in the Pan-Africanist movement. The initial conference, organized by the 8 independent African countries, Ghana, Ethiopia, Guinea, Liberia, Libya, Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt, focused on the themes of unity and solidarity as the key to the fight against the colonial governments and their economic domination. They called for the formation of an African-wide organizations of trade unions, youth movements, and the setting up of a permanent secretariat, the Bureau of Liberatory Movement. Today, that dream has been realized with that African Trade Union movement that is now centered in Ghana. But like in everything, rifts developed along the way to unity. Monrovia Group attracted 24 newly independent states because they preferred a more gradualist approach. But Nkrumah was in a hurry. So he formed a union with Guinea that was joined by Mali to become the Ghana-Guinea-Mali Union. The union became the Union of African States with its own flag, the red, gold, green, with 3 stars in the middle, with more stars to be added as more countries joined. Algeria joined to coalesce into the Casablanca group, the progressive group that was calling for immediate unity. In 1963, however, it was Haile Selassie who intervened in the formation of the Organization of African Unity. But this was what Nkrumah said at the formation, which was to bring more clarity to the reasons. And I quote again. He said, no independent African state today by itself has the chance to follow an independent course of economic development. Many of us who have tried to do this have been almost ruined or have had to return to the fold of the former colonial rulers. This position will not change unless we have a unified policy working at the continental level. We need a unified economic planning for Africa. Until economic power of Africa is in our hands, the masses can have no real concern and no real interest for safeguarding our security, for ensuring the stability of our regimes, and for bending their strength to the fulfillment of our ends. With our united resources, energies, and talents, we have the means. As soon as we show the will to transform the economic structures of our individual states from poverty to that of wealth, from inequality to the satisfaction of popular needs. Only on a continental basis shall we be able to plan the popular utilization of our resources for the full development of our continent. How true that is to today. That's why what several opponents have said about Nkrumah neglecting Ghana for the cause of African unity. No other leader of Ghana has done as much to unify our country and to guarantee that it does not disintegrate at the seams of tribalism. We've been spared ethnic conflicts despite the many ethnicities that make up Ghana. But the tensions are still bubbling behind the surface. But it is because successive heads of state have not built on the sterling foundation laid by Kwame Nkrumah. If Ghana is relatively peaceful today, it is because Nkrumah created a unitary state in the hope that all the people will develop together so that we are able to become one country. So when we look at what is happening in Ghana these days, like people trying to break away, like people worrying about how to vote, and they are being told that their birth certificates do not count. It's like attempts to stop people from registration. This can only be likened to the Jim Crow days of America, when Americans of African descent were turned away when they attempted to exercise their right to vote. But Ghana belongs to all of us, not just to one tribe. And the people of Ghana should be welcome wherever they want to reside. But these events are not certainly what we expect of a maturing multi-party democracy, which is where the preference for the unitary state instead of a federal state was settled at independence. But there are some people who still persist. Those are people who want to unleash on us a return to the violence of the 1950s and early 60s. Extremely disturbing, and looking about our country on tribal lines. It serves no one every purpose, and it will only result in stunted development and growth of our country. So I credit Nkrumah with the creation of Ghana, because he set those foundations of peace and unity. You know, when Nkrumah broke with the UGCC to form his own party, he made sure that all sections of the community were involved in that party. It wasn't just for the elite or the intelligentsia, or for hybrid royals, or for professionals. His party was embraced by all sections of the community, young and old, men and women, workers, business people, artisans, professionals, fisher folk, farmers, market women, and people of all religions. Muslim and Christian, traditionalists, socialists, capitalists, people from the left and right of the political spectrum, trade union activists, business people. There were people, certainly people from all tribes. He made sure that he had set up an inclusive party because he realized that what he was building was a Ghana that all should participate in, all should contribute in, and all should therefore share in the benefits of the country. He went on to assure that there was ethnic balance in all his appointments, including ministerial appointments, that no ethnic group would be left behind or excluded from government. But there was a fight on his hands. He fought against the efforts of the Ewe unification movement, who wanted merge with Togo. He made certain that the 1956 plebiscite, that the Mamprusi, the Dagomba, the Gonja, the Buem, the Krachi, the Kpandu, and whole areas that formed the transportable Togoland will be part of Ghana. Today, I'm told that we are creating more regions. At independence, it was Nkrumah who brought the Northern Protectorate, the transportable Togoland, the Ashanti and the Southern colony together to form one Ghana, one unitary Ghana, not a federal state with sectional interests that others wanted. Nkrumah fought against secessionist intentions of the National Liberation Movement Party, who were formed out of Ashanti Youth Association. He won elections in Kumasi and Ashanti. He fought against Togoland Congress. He fought against the Anglo Youth Movement. He fought against the Northern People's Party and the Muslim Association Party. And when the tribalist Gan Shifimope reared his ugly head to threaten the peace of the country in the capital, Accra, he used the law by passing the Avoidance of Discrimination Act that banned parties based on only sectional interests. The unintended consequences of this law, however, led to the formation of the United Party, which then started a bombing campaign against Nkrumah. And when this violence grew, he used the Preventive Detention Act to stop them. His regions were not based on tribe alone. We have the Northern region, the Eastern region, the Central region, the Western region, the Transvolta region. And he liberated Brongahafo from Ashanti. These were deft political moves to balance the country and change the order of things so that the country will hold together. In the area of education, he set up more secondary schools and training colleges so that most regions would have their own secondary schools. But he maintained and expanded the boarding system. I certainly am a beneficiary of Nkrumah's accelerated program, having gone to the Accra Newtown Experimental School that enabled us to go to school at a relatively young age. The common entrance was based on merit. Young people could travel to schools outside their regions, live with people of other tribes, and make lifelong friendships that were based on not on tribal affiliations, but based on the newer opportunities that the country afforded us. He set up the Young Pioneer Movement that would bring people of different religions together in youth activity. It will provide leadership and much needed extracurricular activities to young minds in the country. And what people don't know, when they said that the movement was ungodly, that the basis for that movement was the Methodist Christian Boys Brigade and the Muslim Youth Association. Because what he was looking at was not to form religious associations, but to mold us in a secular state, bringing people of different faiths together. In his efforts to dismantle the colonial economy and to forge industrialization, he built the township of Tema. This was built by Ghanaian technical people to ensure that there will be accommodation for all the large number of workers who would come to work in the industrial town of Tema that he built. Today, Tema continues to have a very cosmopolitan population, not based on any one tribe. Of course, there were several initiatives that Nkrumah took to establish the bonds of unity across different people, to bring people together. Today, the work of Nkrumah to bring peace to Vietnam needs recognition. America lost Vietnam, its soldiers defeated. There was no victory for America and Britain in Iraq, and there will be no victory for them in Afghanistan. The world, thankfully, is less polarized, and the battle lines have shifted from old ideologies of socialism versus capitalism that dominated the previous century. These have been replaced by issues about banking crisis, globalization, climate change, and China, the emergence of China as an economic power. The African Unity Project was disrupted by the frequent military interventions. But we know that that project will be back on track. It will probably be done a different way if we could incorporate those of us into the diaspora, into the African Union, and show how those links will be forged over the years to have a bigger pie, people who will be dedicated to returning to the continent to help. There are still problems of Ghana, as of other African countries. There's that lack of vision. People think of themselves as countries instead of the global Africa or the bigger Africa. And really, people have forgotten that the path to development for our country is not through people just cutting deals left, right, and center, but through education and through making the country more stable, through bring the cohesiveness of our country together. So the ethnic rumblings would continue. And yet the people of Ghana, the ordinary masses, the workers who produce and provide services are struggling. And the fear and danger is that they will suffer and die if the calls to arms are heeded by those who want to fan the flames of disunity within our country. We know that no country has substantially and consistently increased the standard of living of the people without industrialization. Our underdevelopment and inability to industrialize are a result of the stranglehold of our economy and the country, which has turned us into cheap raw material exporters and importers of highly priced value-added goods and services. Maybe there's still a role for the CPP? We don't know. But the party's principles under self-determination, social justice, must never forget the issue of Pan-Africanism. It is important that a new movement in Africa looks through and finds common cause with a vision that Nkrumah set for us. An economic program that will focus on the growth of our productive capacity, that will address how we can create a diversified agricultural base, that would use science and technology in the exploitation of our resources, and that would create more jobs for the people, because that is what the people need. The people do not want to be bribed to vote for a party. They want to be able to work. They want to be able to earn their own money, and they want the government to provide them with a strong economy. They want a government that will be more accountable. They want a government that has a strong parliament. They want a government that would provide more transparent government at all levels and deal with corruption. Our newfound oil and gas in Ghana will not solve our problems for us. We must resist the temptation to go it alone. Other African countries found oil and gas, they are still struggling. Our mineral wealth will not do it for us alone, because the forces that have always challenged us will be at the fore dictating our prices. We must therefore emphasize that it is only by collaboration with other countries in Africa into an effective economic, social, and political bloc that we can begin to solve our problems of growth and development. Maybe that time is now. And I hope that as we look at 50 years after the death of Osagyefo, we should think more about these issues. So let me end by saying that the history of the history of the world, not just Ghana, Africa, but the world, will not be complete until the influence of Nkrumah as a man for world peace, a beacon for the unity of all Africa, and a symbol of a united Ghana is recognized. Nkrumah lives on. Nkrumah never dies, forward ever. Thank you for listening to me.
We thank you so much, our Elder Ade Sawyerr, for that wonderful presentation. Wow, it was deeply moving indeed. And as you say, Kwame Nkrumah lives on. He never dies. And that those sentiments were being echoed in the chat. We thank you so much for opening these series of events today. What I'd like to do is to go over to the comment section in the chat and pick up on some of the comments, maybe any questions that our audience who are watching may have to ask. So family, if you've got any question, any comments, any points to make, please do so now, because we are going to make this session interactive. Let's thank our guest, Elder Ade Sawyerr, as well, for this wonderful opening. So we've got here an international audience. We've got viewers from America, from England, from Ghana, and various other parts of the world. We are being welcomed in various languages as well. We've got Africa Young Reimagined in the house, who is saying that Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah is his teacher, father and grandfather. And he's saying that even in his death, he's continued to sip on the cup of his overflowing and ever-flowing wisdom, even though he was born long after his death. So, you know, the works of Kwame Nkrumah live on. What are the works that you're doing today, family, that's going to live on, you know, for decades, maybe even for hundreds of years after you leave this planet? I hope that you are, you know, making some major moves, just like Kwame Nkrumah made during his lifetime. Let's see what we've got in the chat. Africa Reimagined is also saying that, you know, it's been empowering, and the teaching has been empowering as well, even in the prayer. And that's including, obviously, our great spiritual leader, Bandaka. So lots of rise up in the chat. Welcome, Brother Kamani, SA. From Texas in the USA. Rise up, our brother Mondele as well. Yenge, Mpimpa, Kiambote. Greetings, my brother. And, you know, our elder, let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Yes, Nkrumah never died. Nkrumah never dies. And we have the privilege as well of having members of the Osagyefo youth movement in the house, and they're going to be presenting to us next Thursday. So welcome. We are delighted to have you in the house. Let me scroll down a bit more and see what we've got. Africa is saying, let's scroll back up, see what that is. Our brother Gimanera is saying, under Nkrumah, parties were based on shared values and not on ethnicity. Hence, the Avoidance of Discrimination Act in 1957. Yes, indeed. You know, let's see what else we've got in here. Family, keep posted. We're bringing in your comments now. Tag 5104 says, who can Africa count on as partners in their struggles for self-governance? What allegiances exist in the struggle for African independence? Let me put that question to our guest today. Who can Africa count on as partners in their struggle for self-governance? What allegiances exist in the struggle for African independence? You know, my elder, let me go back to you for a response to that question, please.
Well, I think that we have a situation where the Africa Union is back in formation. I talk about it being back in formation because I think that one of the things that Nkrumah stressed all the time was that we had grave problems with the economics of the situation. We had inherited colonial economies where all that had happened was that we produced for export. And part of the wealth that we generated was shared with us by our colonial masters. I think when we start cooperating amongst ourselves down in Africa, we'll probably see the value of the real things that we produce. But I'm not just looking at us just being partners in development with our continental brothers and sisters. There's a whole diaspora out here, a pool of talent that left Africa at different times of its existence. And I think that the efforts now of the African Union should be towards actually incorporating all those different parts of our global African community back into the continental basis. So what are the issues? The issues of globalization. But of course, there are powers in this. There's China doing something, there's America doing something, There's always France doing something, and people are still meddlesome in the politics of Africa. I think the more we speak to each other, the more we'll find the common strains, and the more will probably be resolved that we must pursue this cause about unity in Africa. When Nkrumah was talking about unity in Africa, Europe had not thought about the European Union. But the European Union has been something that has saved several countries, Britain included, at the time when Britain was at its feet. It was by going to the EU that several other places in Britain were salvaged. The issue of Wales, development in Wales, development in other parts, for instance, in North, around Scotland. And really, now that there's Brexit, we would see those places fall into disrepair again. So there are benefits of people coming together with a common cause and doing things together. So I think that we still get the benefits if Africa unites, and we'll probably still be able to resolve all the problems that we have. Wow,
That would be awesome if Africa would be left alone to do precisely that, but that's a separate conversation. Let's go back to the chat. This one says, what doesn't Africa have for it to be self-sufficient and not allow foreigners to take over? So, you know, is there anything that Africa doesn't have for it to be self-sufficient and not allow foreigners to take over?
Look, we have everything. We have everything we need in Africa. Mm-hmm. We have the natural resources in Africa. I think what Africa needs is really the resourcefulness to actually think through all our actions by our individual governments. You know, when you start making common bond with other people, you stop thinking about just yourself and you start thinking about other people, and you get different heads to come and help you plan your agenda. And really, that's what I was saying in terms of what Nkrumah said. He said, those who have tried to go it alone have had problems. And we've had to go back to our colonial masters because they always dictate the rules to us. So now is a period of great awareness amongst us. And really, when I talk about the diaspora, I'm excited because it's only by my coming to the diaspora that I was able to meet people of from different areas in the world, meet people from the Caribbean, meet people from different parts of Africa, and be able to reason together as to how we can rescue our continent and our people from this life of economic domination. I think we will get there, but I think we need to be a lot more resourceful as to how we are able to get there. There's a lot of cultural upliftment that we need, that when we start talking about our own culture, our own images, what it is that we fought, what it is that we need, when we are able to shed ourselves of what we call the international demonstration effect, when we are able to actually think that, yeah, it's cool to be African again. It's cool to have a prayer before we do something. It's cool to fall back on our culture. That is when we realize that maybe our heritage is actually even richer than the modernity that we follow. And that's when the penny drops for us. And that's when we as Africans can actually come together to say that this is what we want for our countries and our continent.
Absolutely agree. That's why it's so important for us to Sankofa, to go back, look back to the days when we were great and to see, what we had then, what was common among us back then, what were the gods that we were worshipping, what was it that held us together as a people? And all of that will hopefully make us great again once more. Let's take just a couple more comments from the chat. I'll invite you to respond again, and then I'll ask Brother Leader if you'd like to make any closing remarks. But while people in the chat are thanking you for your wonderful presentation, we thank you again. Let's see what we've got here from Ubuntu, who says, when will the so-called African leaders stand up for their brothers and sisters on the continent and the diaspora? They need to make it easier for those wishing to return. You spoke about, the important role of the diaspora, also in the history of the liberation struggle, and potentially, going forward again as well. So what say you in response to that question, my elder?
Well, I think that there was a lot of talk when the African Union was set up, when it was transformed from the OAU into the African Union. And then a lot of talk was that maybe it was possible to actually create a sixth region of Africa, not just the North, South, Central, East, West, but also a sixth region which would encompass the diaspora, which is really looking at African people wherever they live, whether they be in South America or North America or in Europe or increasingly in Asia, that those would also be part of actually coming together of Africa. Because, when you set up a movement or when you set up a union, it's about how that union is able to endow other people. But we certainly have the skills outside Africa. And really what it is we now need to do is really how to attract those skills back into Africa. And once those skills are there and we have the freedom to be able to operate, fortunately, some of us or some may have the capital in order to be able to operate there, then it means that we'd rather be able to do things for ourselves. Earlier on today, I was having a big discussion with an organization that was a global organization that was actually looking to run something across the whole world. And what does it do? It goes to an American company who has absolutely no experience of the global world, but they are experts in their field. And the problem is, how do they incorporate the wishes of people in Africa in terms of delivering service successfully? They got the contract knowing that they were going to deliver from their base. And now they have to go to Africa to investigate ways in which people do things in Africa so that whatever it is that they are doing has a resounding impact. And what I'm saying is that fortunately, we've got people in the diaspora who have some skills that they've deployed in the West very well. And they can take those skills back into Africa to actually continue to deploy them for the benefit of Africa as a whole. And for the changing of the mindset that it is not only in the West that things happen, but there are several things that happen well and successfully within Africa.
Absolutely. And, the other part of that question was about when will they be making it easier for those wanting to return? And that includes, calling on the diaspora to return. Because when the diaspora, when the Jamaicans and the Caribbeans, for example, came to England in their thousands to help rebuild the UK, the prime ministers at the time, they were in the Caribbean doing their rounds and their tours, and they were calling on people from the country to come to the motherland to help rebuild what they were calling the motherland, because of course all of our parents and grandparents were British subjects at that time. So they actively went out and called for the people to come, and they made way. They made the passage available for our parents and our grandparents to come. And we responded. Our parents responded in large numbers, and we brought those skills and we brought those talents, and we contributed towards the rebuilding of England after the Second World War. We could do that for Africa too. So I'm not asking you to respond. I just wanted to put that out there that, maybe they need to...
Actually, that's something that I recognize very much. And I think that it's something that is lost on us, that whenever an African gets a scholarship to come into the West, okay, they've got that scholarship because they're bright students. They come here. Those who do well remain here. So you have a lot of a talent pool that the West has always taken from us, that will continue to take from us. It's an active thing that the West does to attract the best from Africa.
Yes.
And so what you are saying is very true, that Africa should also find a scheme of being able to attract the best in our diaspora to come back home to actually help. And it's an active courting of people to come back and help.
Absolutely. I mean, the British, the Americans, the Canadians, they go far as having stalls on campuses and the universities in Africa, looking and scouting for the brightest minds to come to America or Canada or to Europe in order for them to use our brains to maintain we can see him in the background there. Yeah, so we can, that's okay. Africa needs to take a leaf out of its book, and I'm sure there are many, university graduates and doctorates in the UK who would love to go to Africa and bring their skills over there. Many indeed. Okay, we are getting ready to wrap up. There are quite a few comments coming in the chat now. Let me just read a few. My apologies if I don't get to yours, but let me just read a few. Tag 5104 says, foreign aid is not intended to support efforts in African countries. Foreign aid is designed to maintain control of the mineral-rich African continent. I don't think anyone would argue with that, would they? Let's see what else is Tag 5104 is saying. Do we need to become part of the AU from the USA? Who are our contacts? Gamara is saying, until we industrialize, no African will be given the respect they deserve. We can only do that by pulling our resources and working together as a united African. Absolutely. African Reimagined says Pan-Africanism is not, someone asked the question, it was Kwame being provocative, is Pan-Africanism dead? Africa Reimagined has responded by saying Pan-Africanism is not, and it's just moved there. Where's that gone? Pan-Africanism is not and can't die as long as there is even only one person remaining to believe in it all over the whole earth. Absolutely agree with you on that. Look at what Marcus Messiah Garvey was able to do as one man. Look at what Kwame Nkrumah was able to do as one man. Before we close, I'd just like to, great, I can see Brother Leader Bandak is back in the house, fantastic. I'd just like us to glance over some of the achievements of Kwame Nkrumah that I found on the internet. The list of achievements is far too long for me to be able to go through it in its entirety and read it out. But let me just scroll through. Look at the number of secondary schools that Kwame Nkrumah established during the very short time that he was Prime Minister of Ghana. Look at the colleges that he established, the universities of Science, African Studies, and Institute of Economics and Political Science that he established, the schools of languages the polytechnics. Look at the teaching hospitals that he established, the medical schools. He made medical care free for all of its citizens, established pharmaceuticals, hospitals with clinics. He built them, numerous factories, glass factories, meat factories, tomato factories, match factories. The list goes on, sugar factories, the list goes on. Brick and tile factories, tire factories, meat processing factories, rice mills, the list goes on. Banks, economic development banks, investment banks, insurance companies, national insurance trusts, oil companies, the list goes on in terms of industries that he established, financial industry sectors as well. He even built Ghana Airways corporations, the film industries. Family, I suggest you go to this website and you look for yourself at what one man who was committed towards the growth and development of his own country and the entire continent, to see what can be achieved when you have a leader who is for the country and for the continent. And this man was certainly a challenge. Let me go over now to our guest, Ade Sawyerr, for some closing words, and then we'll ask our brother Leader Van Daka to close today, the first day of a series of events that's remembering the great works and keeping the vision alive of Kwame Nkrumah. Elder Ade Sawyerr.
Okay. Well, what I want to end with is really to talk about the fact that Nkrumah was a community-minded person, and that was why he was so successful in his politics. It was about being with people, learning from those people, and ensuring that several people influenced him. Now, it's really like somebody who stood on the shoulders of giants and was able to look further afield. So he imbibed the different ideologies of those who were then leaders within the African heritage movement. He learned from them in a humble way. He was able to try and analyze and synthesize some of their ideas. And that is really what set Nkrumah apart as a truly great person. So it wasn't something that he just came and said that I have this idea for doing this. So he talks about the Black Star. And of course, we all know that the Black Star issue came from Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He was held by people like Du Bois, who talked about maybe the concept of education within an Africa, that we need to be able to train people's minds, not just their hands, for skills. He took from everywhere, was influenced by one of the great thinkers, C.R.R. James, who actually helped him to synthesize some of those ideas. So when I look at Nkrumah, I look at him as a truly great leader who listened to all and sundry. And he was able to form a vision that resonates with people. And it's really that vision resonates today. Today we have war in Ukraine. Like I said, maybe we could have gotten Nkrumah to go and talk to them. Maybe the non-aligned movement should be the movement we should be looking at, not NATO. There are things that they did in their time, and some of those things are still relevant. We can't forget the man. No matter what happens, we can never forget Nkrumah and the influence he had. If nothing at all, he helped to bring independence to Africa, and certainly to some parts of the Caribbean, because it was people learning from each other. And I think that is what makes Nkrumah truly great. And I'll just end by saying that Nkrumah lives on. Nkrumah never dies, forward ever.
Ashe, Ashe. Brother Leader Van Daka, if we can go over to you for some closing remarks, please.
Tendai Mwari, Medase Papa, Sante Sana. We give thanks and praises unto Mwari Nyakusika, God, the creator of the universe, through Muzima Mukuru, our great ancestors, for waking up our Baba Ade Sawyerr, Achaba Ade Sawyerr, and giving him the inspiration and the vision to call this moment into focus and into existence. And we give thanks and praises unto Mwari Nyakusika, God, the creator of the universe, through Muzima Mukuru, our great ancestors, for choosing you, Sister Shanice, as the conduit through which this focus will be brought into being. And we give thanks and praises for the messenger that was selected for this evening, our brother Ade Sawyerr, and for the way in which you have helped us to revisit this legacy, this supreme legacy of our Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Of course, when we say Osagyefo, we say Redeemer in an African language, in the language of Twi. We are saying Redeemer, and that is what the people called him. He did not call himself Osagyefo. It is what the people who realized as his vision and his mission unfolded, that this was a man that was divinely inspired to pick up the work of our people, recognizing the desperate state that the African continent and indeed the African world was in. And of course, by his own testimony, he was inspired by the works of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, because he said, I read Marx, Engels, Hegel, Lenin, Mazizi, and he named some others. And he said, but of all the books I read, and this is a man who was very well read. He had a number of degrees and masters. He had read thousands of books. I didn't say hundreds, thousands of books. And he said, of all the books I read, nothing fired my enthusiasm. Those were his words, page 37 of his autobiography. Nothing fired my enthusiasm more than when I read Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The black print, the greatness, therefore, of an Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah is that he was moved to revive and to operationalize the black print of the most eminent prophet and king. He was moved to make flesh of that black print on the African continent and throughout the African world. And one of the greatness of his legacies was that he, when he came to Ghana, when he became prime minister and then president of Ghana, he opened Ghana to the African diaspora, not only to the African continent, which he indeed did, but he opened Ghana to the African diaspora and encouraged us from the African diaspora to come home to Ghana and to build Ghana. Just one or two quick points, if I may, Sister Shanice. Let us be clear. Let us be clear. And again, I thank Brother Ade Sawyerr for the inspiration he has given us this evening. Let us be clear that the vision of the Osagyefo was to transform the African continent into a superpower. And that vision, if that vision had been allowed to be fulfilled, then Africa would have been today, because its vision was to do that within a generation. Ghana was just the conduit, the beacon light that was going to shine in the direction of the building work. He was going to use Ghana as the example of the work that needed to be done across the African continent. And he was going to use the resources of Ghana to enable us to be able to accomplish that across the African continent. Let me just say very quickly that when the Congo became independent, and when Patrice Lumumba made a very similar statement to the statement that the Osagyefo made in relation to the Congo, being, that the Congo was going to be used as, the shining light for the rest of the African continent. Yes. And that the vision, he made it very clear that the vision was for the liberation of the African continent. Now, once we had the Congo, which is in the center of Africa, the geological miracle in the heart of Africa, the richest expanse of land on the planet, the Congo, because of where it's located and because of its range of natural resources, would have been the source by which the Osagyefo could then have made, through working and linking with Patrice Lumumba in the Congo, it was all over for them. That is why they got rid of Patrice Lumumba so swiftly, because they knew it was all over for them. So in rounding up, let me just utter some words of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, which I believe is apt for this moment. And I hope, brothers and sisters, as we listen to our brother this evening, that we are inspired not only to go and study more the works of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, but to commit ourselves to reviving his work, reviving his legacy, fulfilling his vision and his hope for us. In the words of the most eminent prophet and king, he said, "Oh yes, the cause is grand, the cause is glorious. Surely we cannot turn back. Oh, sail on, sail on, sail on, O mighty ship of state, sail on. Sail on unto the flag of the red, the black, and the green is perched high upon the hilltops of Africa. Because the time has come," he says, "for the black man and woman to forget our hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of our own. We must," he says, "canonize our own saints and elevate to positions of fame and honor black men and women who have made a distinct contribution to our own racial history." He said we must inspire our literature and promulgate a doctrine of our own without any apology to the powers that be. That right is ours and God's. And it's that kind of word sound that inspired and fired up the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. I hope we are sufficiently fired up this evening to get up tomorrow morning and get on with the work. Join with Sister Shanice and what she's trying to do with us and for us. In the words, as I close, of the words of the most eminent prophet and king, unite. Unite, beloved. Organize now or perish. Rise, you mighty African people, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rumbidzo kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Mari.
Tendai Mwari, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Family, I hope tonight's opening has inspired you. Let me just remind you of what you've got coming up tomorrow. If everyone in the house was to kindly invite someone to join us at 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow, we have two guest speakers, Dr. Ami Bini, and we also have Professor Del Varira Bochwe. And so please do spread the word. Two awesome speakers are going to be coming to us tomorrow at 7 p.m. We look forward to you joining us tomorrow. I want to thank also as well our dear elder Ayaba Ade Sawyerr, he's listening in the background. We thank you so, so much for all the work that you've been doing behind the scenes. Elder, may these series of events, contribute towards the historical turning point that we all need towards, reinstating the African continent to the great, great continent that she deserved to be in this world. Thank you again, Elder Ade Sawyerr. Thank you again, Brother Leader Bandaka. Thank you to everyone in the audience for being with us throughout this evening. We're going to be leaving you now, but remember, Kwame Nkrumah, his vision lives on. He never dies. The vision of Marcus Mosiah Garvey never dies. The vision of all our Pan-Africanists and those in whose footsteps they followed will never die. And I'll be reminding you of the names of some of those former great Pan-Africanists and revolutionists as well. The forerunners to the likes of Marcus Mosiah Garvey and Kwame Nkrumah and Patrice Lumumba and the other, founding fathers. But they took the works to another level. What level are we going to take the works to during our lifetime, family? It's up to us. And as our brother leader said in his closing remarks, I hope you've been fired up this evening, because that's our plan, to reignite the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah, to have his vision in the forefront of your mind, so it's clear what you need to do from what he was doing, towards making not just Ghana great, but the entire continent great. Because once the continent is great, we too will be a great people to be reckoned with on this earth. So for now, family, we leave you, but we will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thank you so, so, so much for joining us this evening, and we look forward to another great event tomorrow evening. More love, more power, more voodoo. Sister Shanice, out of here for now.